Hey Lorenzo, it's Buck. It's about 7 or so on Friday night. Just got home. I'm going to go ahead and send this to your email since I don't have Alex's. Yes, and I'll be glad to help. To me, it looks like he's got a push or a fade type miss to the left, and I can tell you why. He's a little cuppy in the left wrist angle coming down. So if you look at the picture on the right, you can tell that in this shutter speed that you have on your phone, it's a little blurry, but I can tell that the right wrist is cupped and the face is open when he's halfway down. And when the wrist is cuppy, the shaft plane is steeper than it should be. It's too high here. I'm going to put up a tour player in just a second. And the face is slightly open. So when you're cupped there, let me move this line just for a second. You can see the knuckles are above his wrist angles. If I put up, I think you've seen me put up Adam Scott. I'll use him first. I'm going to flip him around left-handed. If you look at, let me go back to Alex's setup angles. We're going to go from the heel of the club to the middle of his back. And I want you to look at the difference of just the setup part. So I went to the middle of Adam's back, just like Alex is there. So that angle looks the same, but look at the difference where the hand plane and the shaft plane is at address. So my opinion is that his hands are slightly high. His arm angles are slightly out, which will affect the wrist angles going back and coming down. So if you watch his backswing, you're going to see that Adam's hands stay underneath the plane and the club face stays more square to the arc. Alex has a tendency to get the club too toe up. If you watch it here, it goes outside the plane and it opens too early. Adam Scott's club and most all the better tour players are a little bit more vertical, hands lower, and the shaft more upright and the face more square. You can see it. See, Alex's is very open there. And again, Adam is more vertical and more square to the arc. So as we keep going back, you're going to see that he does a lot of things well. So let's cut him some slack here. But because of his wrist angles, you can tell that he gets a little sloppy at the top. Adam holds the angles really well because of his wrist and his elbows. So when he comes down, his shaft is actually going to shallow out and Alex is going to steepen. So Alex goes from a little bit of a flat backswing to a steeper downswing. Adam goes from a steeper backswing to a shallower downswing. You're going to see Alex's club is much higher coming down, and Adam is much shallower. And if you put up Rory or Jason or Louis or any of those guys that are really good ball strikers that are more of what we would call a push draw, they're inside the plane with a square face. Alex is slightly above the plane with his hands, and the club is a little high and open. So what happens is he's going to exit outside the plane. So he's going to push or fade it typically. He could hook it from that position, but he'd have to be really handsy. He's still handsy, and I know he's kind of a timing player, but you can look at the face here difference between Adam and Alex. Alex is going to finish way high, shut face, and Adam is going to finish lower with more of a square face. So that's what I see as wrist angles. I'm going to go back to, let me look at one more thing here, if I can find it. I think I took it off. So I actually can't get back to it because I pulled your name up here and put it in your locker. But really, that's what I see. I'd like to see a little tighter wrist angle at the top, more flattening of the lead wrist, which is his right wrist. Then the shaft doesn't tip over and the face doesn't open. And then the downswing, I'd like to see the wrist angles stay inside the plane so the face is more square. Now he's squaring it with his chest and his hips so the club stays inside versus outside. So that's what I see. Everything else looks good. I know how good Alex is, and his potential is really good, but again, I think his weak shots or misses are going to be left or fades typically. Okay, hope that helps you guys out, and let me know if I can help in the future. Take care.